You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. My name is Andrew Kuba.
My name's Nick Sperry.
And I'm Chrispy.
And this week we're going to discuss the Nova Open, the B-Wing stigma, and our thoughts on scenario fatigue. But first, Nick, you have we got some news from AMG that you're going to want to get into.
Yeah, Atomic Mass Games released a transmission about X-Wing. We don't often get a lot of these, articles solely about X-Wing. But this one is, I think to many people, maybe not a big surprise. Essentially, doubling down on some hard set rules when it comes to your Worlds invite. As they say here in the article I have in front of me, as listed inside the store championship kits, these events require a 16 player minimum. Tournaments must have 16 unique active players for the winner to receive an invite to Worlds. Events with less than 16 may award all physical prizes in the kit, but the invite and the championship card will not be valid. So I know that some folks in more rural, less densely populated areas where X-Wing tournaments draw less than 16, fortunately, those Worlds invites will not be granted to those folks, even if maybe the tournament started at 16, but if you dropped before the event started, because that happens. So just something to keep in mind. I think some people are freaking out about what they mentioned actually later on in this article, which is that too many kits were distributed. So the implications around that, I think some folks think that they won't be able to actually purchase a ticket, even if they earned a Worlds invite. I would strongly urge you all to, back off away from that cliff. I think it's going to be fine. If you earned your Worlds invite, you'll have a chance to play and buy that ticket to play in Worlds. Chrispy, what are your thoughts on this? Do you have any first reaction?
Yeah, so I think because they did an updated transmission, right? Like they put an initial thing out talking about the store champ kits, and then they put an update out where they answered some questions.
Yeah, because at first, they had just a tweet saying that basically 16 was the minimum, and now this is a more official document that's kind of come out.
Yeah. So I think the initial backlog, the initial reaction, is a lot of people who, their communities can only pull out, 12, 13, 14, and they bought a store kit in hopes for, someone in their community to be able to go to Worlds, right? And not having to just send everyone into the LCQ, which we also just still haven't heard any news about. So it is, having a Worlds invite through your store championship, provides a lot of security. It makes you figure out if you're actually going to go to Adepticon or not. So that was sort of the main thing where, they put out this announcement, and all of these people that had tournaments with 13 or 14 people who had emailed AMG and said, hey, we tried, we got as many people out as we could. Is this still valid? And, AMG was sort of, I'm not going to say entirely accepting, but they were at least taking into consideration the exception, right? And then this transmission came out, and everyone thought that those, AMG was essentially blacklisting all of them, saying all of those store championships are null and void. And then the updated one did talk about, contact them if you have any questions or anything like that. So I think it's fair to say that I don't think you should expect, because of course there's a line in the sand, whether we can argue whether that's a proper line or not. The store champ says for 16. I think communities should not expect, if they have less than 16, to get the invite, but I would hope that AMG honors it if the store shows that they put through a lot of effort to get a reasonable and, wide store champ, as big as they could.
Yeah, I would agree with that take.
Yeah, sorry, Andrew. They do mention that they will, you can reach out to them, you can email them. The email that they mentioned for making an exception is, I believe it's op@atomicmassgames.com. Let me just double check that. They have that listed a couple times. It is. So it doesn't mean they will make an exception, but if there is a situation where maybe you had one person dropping at a 15 player events, there are chances that they could take a look at that and maybe reconsider and allow you to, keep your invite. So a lot of question marks for sure. I think the only thing that I could really stress to people is that if you have your invite and you want it fair and square, you are almost 100% going to be okay. Like, oh, the chances that I get shut out. If you don't want to play at Worlds and don't want to go, then you won't be able to play. But if you want to go and you're going to make the effort to go and you have your Worlds invite, then you'll be able to play. I just do not see them turning people away. I think they're going to have to reevaluate how many tables and seats they have, and if they even do an LCQ, depending on how many of these store champ kits were sent out, because apparently Asmodee sent out too many. Don't know how many too many, but too many.
That's kind of a weird line for them to draw there.
Yeah, a
I mean,
little
why even
throwing under
mention
the
it?
bus a
I
little
don't
bit.
know.
It's a little interesting.
It's not my problem, but
Yeah. Yeah. So, last thing before we move on, for those of you that do have your Worlds invite, AMG doesn't know who has their Worlds invite yet, but they're working on a form that you can submit to validate your Worlds invite. That isn't available yet. Just stay tuned. They will let you know. We will let you know when that form is available. They say in this article they're working on it. As long as you have that card and you got your name signed and there's an event link that they can validate that you played in a legal event, you're fine. Like, you have that ticket in your hand. I have it on my shelf. My little name crappily scribbled on it. You'll be fine. So, yeah, just hold on to that. Don't lose it. It's the golden ticket.
So yeah, but we're gonna keep an ear out for more news and information on that. But we can move on to our next segment, talking about B wings. So we're going to be doing a little break it or buy it. And the B wings that we want to showcase here today, I think I want to pick the ones that don't see a lot of play, and we're going to see where we can do. So the rules are we can each pick one ship, and we'll also ask like if they're going to be able to buy it at a certain price, if you want the point cost to go down on it, or if you can break it, keep it at its current point cost, but what would you add to make it more playable? And Nick, I can start off, throw it to you of all the three that we got: Netrum, Braylon, and Gina.
Yeah, so the B-wing is one of the most beloved ships in Star Wars and
Mhm.
fans of X-wing. However, in terms of its results and its performance and its ability to stay alive in the game of X-wing these days, it is not beloved by us. It's actually mocked and memed quite often. The B-wing is, I mean, it finds itself caught in a meta where the damage race is the ceiling is so high and the floor has been raised very high. The ability to compensate for its one agility, poor dial, uh its ability to double tap should usually has in the past compensated for that, but right now we're not seeing it. So in terms of the pilots that you mentioned, I think I'll take Netrum. So
So,
Netrum Pollard. I'll read you guys off the B wing just so you can visualize with me with the B wing. The stat line and dial is real quick. So the B wing has 3 attack, 1 agility, 4 hull, and 4 shields. It has a 1 hard that's red, a 1 bank that's blue, and a 1 straight that's blue, as well as 1 Talon rolls, which is very unique. Only I think one other ship, I believe, has that on their dial in this game. A white 2 hard, a white 2 bank, a 2 straight blue, and a 2 K turn, and then 3 banks that are red, a 3 straight blue, and a 4 straight red, and nothing else. No 4K, no 5K. That is it. So, Netrum is initiative 3. His ability reads: after you barrel roll, you may choose one friendly ship that is not stressed at range 0 to 1. That ship gains 1 stress token, then you rotate 180 degrees. So, I picked Netrum because, as you guys remember, when 2.5 first kind of got unveiled and we had that first Adepticon a year ago, Netrum was in almost every Rebel list, and Rebels were almost 50% of the field. He was 4 points, and he was just a great piece of firepower that filled a list of 5 to 7 ships.
yeah, really unexpected ability too. Like you
Yeah.
can catch people with that.
So, break it or buy it? I am going to say buy it at 3 points instead of the 4 that he costs now, with almost no loadout. He has 10 loadout now. I would allow him to take like fire control system and maybe a talent for 1 or 2 points. So like 4 or 5 loadout max. oh, 3-point B-wings. That sounds well. Hey guys, we got 4-point arc 170s, so we can have one 3-point low initiative B-wing. They get initiative killed very easily, and and there's a lot of things going against them right now.
Yeah, I'd say like with some of the bombers that are coming out, like that are sitting at 3 points, I think that would be definitely fair to have a 3 point B wing just with way less loadout.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, you've got a whole bunch of 1 agility, 8 health ships that are at 3 points. I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, we have Y wings and we have the HMPs.
Yeah,
who can still put out a lot of offense with missiles. So I think just like make sure that Netrum doesn't have access to a great double tap ability. I would say give him 4 loadout. So like if you really want to go for it, you can give him proton cannons and try to line up the bullseye at I3 with your lock.
right. Yeah, if you can do that, you earned
So
it.
Chrispy, are you buying it at 3 as well?
I would buy it at 3.
Okay.
I think 3-4 is 3-4 is a great spot for Netrum. Because if you and like you said, you could just take like FCS selfless or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Make it simple.
That's fine.
You know what I really want to see? What's nice about this conversation, about this idea, is that it would encourage players in a really strong faction right now to consider playing different lists.
Yeah, because I was thinking like if Netrum were to go down to 3, like then that is in contention for taking Wedge in the A wing, or like if I was running Han, or
Holoken maybe at 3 points. Yeah, absolutely. Should we throw it over to Chrispy to do the next pilot?
Yeah,
Chrispy, you can pick a pilot. We've got Gina, and we've got Braylon Strom.
I'll take Gina. So Gina is an I5 B-Wing. Her ability is at the start of the engagement phase, you must transfer one of your stress tokens to another friendly ship at range 0 to 2. So she has 11 loadout. She has talent, sensor, double cannons, torp, a bomb slot, and a mod slot. So she has a lot of upgrade slots, not a ton of loadout. I think I would break her by putting her up to 20 loadout.
Ooh. For 4 points? You would keep the cost the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to go down to 3 on an I5. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because
that's very interesting. 20 points. So what are you thinking? You're filling up every slot almost.
So for a 4-pointer who is throwing stress on other ships, whether they want it or not, I'm gonna want proton torpedoes on her. She's a good I5 ship. She'll walk up, she'll lock someone, she'll throw proton torpedoes at I5. And then with the rest of her loadout, I would give her FCS, proton cannons, and that's a 2-point upgrade. So maybe like marksmanship or something, or hope. You know what? I'll give her hopeful. How about that? Let her boost around.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think the knee-jerk reaction for most people, maybe when they hear you say, give her 20 loadout, is, oh, well, 4 points is such a value piece for 20 loadout. It doesn't matter. It's a B-Wing. So, Gina's I5, but that ability is pretty tough on most Rebel ships. Throwing a stress over to somebody and having to do so. It's not so clever like Hollow is, or where you can kind of be more calculated. Gina can kind of end up, giving somebody a panic pilot because she ends up in that position and has to give the stress to somebody who's already stressed, who maybe bumped and had to focus or whatever with the stress. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting. She would become quite a force to be reckoned with, in terms of her damage capabilities. But you could shoot at her 3 times and she would go down. 2 or 3 times and she would go down. So.
Yeah, and I mean, with like nothing really defensive on her, you can just like dive right in there. Like she'll get like one probably final shot at range 1. But for 4 points, I still think that's a good buy for you.
And she's already 4, right? And she's not getting played, so that means it's not enough. It means that even though she's cheap already, it's not enough. So I agree with that. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah. Oh no, I absolutely agree. I think that'd be a really fun ship to fly. Honestly.
Yeah. I used to play when I was casually, it was like Gina Moonsong and Ezra Bridger in the Gauntlet, just because I painted the Gauntlet and I just bought it and spent a lot of money on it. I was like, I gotta play it, right? You like
Yeah.
you take it to the game store, it's the best place to showcase it. And you throw the stress over to Ezra and he uses his ability. It's cute, it's whatever. But yeah, Andrew, we got one more pilot. Take it away.
Yeah. So Braylon Strom. Now this is 5 points. It's one of the most expensive B wings for an I4. And it says while you defend or perform an attack, if you are stressed, you may re-roll up to 2 of your dice. So pretty powerful ability there. Um, it's something where you want to be stressed, but it kind of gives you a free target lock there. And it really wants you to use like those the those red maneuvers where you could maybe focus into a barrel roll, so a little bit AC at like I4. This one is tricky for me. I'm gonna go, if it's gonna cost 5 points, which I get because you have the ability to have a double modded shot, which is pretty powerful. For
You
this
could buy it
one,
at a lower price.
I don't think I think breaking it is gonna be a better might be a better use with
Interesting.
Braylon. I mean,
I disagree, but I'm curious to hear why.
yeah, I
Uh,
mean, honestly, I don't know. Yeah, maybe buying it at a lower price is probably
yeah.
the better way to go. It's a
It's the same
powerful
cost as
ability.
Luke.
Yeah. No. And I mean, at 5 points, it's going to that would have to be like your linchpin piece. 4 points, you can kind of fill it out with like a combo, but
Yeah.
with that 12 at yeah, I mean at 4 points, maybe 12 loadout, because this does not want to take torpedoes. You don't really care about getting the target lock. You really want the focus and then the stress.
Yeah. The double
Yeah,
mods.
it's not. Yeah, I mean, even at 12 points, it's not going to be getting like outmaneuver or anything crazy like that. The only thing I think it might be cute if you could maybe put juke on it and do the barrel roll into the red evade. But I think you're just going to be doing that focus barrel roll as a flanker. So yeah, I mean, if I could take this down to 4 points, I think that would be a lot more playable.
Yeah, I agree. So Crispy, what's the biggest issue with Braylon when you fly him? Because I think we all B-wing players know what his problem is versus 10 who doesn't have this issue. What is it?
I mean, his issue is that he has to be stressed during every engagement, which means that he is locked into his blue maneuvers every
Right.
round.
Can't get turned around. He is like the ghost, but in a small base. Like it is tough to
Yeah.
get turned around once you're in the scrum. Yeah, Braylon really, really thrived in X-Wing version 2.0. Because he was just that game was built purely around the value of each individual piece making up a list. Now we have other factors. B-Wings aren't very good with scenario play outside of assault at the satellite array and chance, which yeah is 50% of your scenarios. They can't help you with taking scenario actions. I mean, they can try to take a crate, but it's usually futile because of the way one agility works with RNG.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think they're kind of caught in between right now. They don't really have an easy place, and Braylon at 5, it just kind of stinks. Him being that expensive, I definitely agree that him going down would make sense. He should be the same price as Gina. He's initiative 4. He's not even a
Yeah,
5.
five is a risk. Yeah, I mean, because Braylon's not even a ship that really wants that much loadout. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't need it. It's the more the better. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would even argue dropping him to 4 and adding another 2 or 3 points. I don't think it makes
yeah,
that. I don't think it ends up really busting him in a way that's
at
unfair.
all. Yeah, I mean, you still
Yeah.
play him the same.
Yeah. Again, let's get people thinking about list building with other pieces besides the same 4 or 5 choices. I think that's always good.
Yeah, because I mean, at 4 points too, you can, even though it's an I4, you can still fit that with other I5s and I6s also at 4 points in Rebels and still have a decent list.
Yeah. So Crispy, would you say, like, in terms of, besides, let's just take the outlier of the Arc 170s out of the equation really quick.
Yeah.
One agility in this game right now, and let's take Han out of the equation because he's IS-6 and double taps and is insane. What's how do you look at one agility ships in the game right now competitively?
I think that in a like they fall under the umbrella of like arc so like if arcs are in the meta and Han is the meta, and I'm thinking to myself, I need to counter those guys, I'm gonna bring plasma torps, I'm gonna bring like Notorious that strains you down to 0 defense dice. All of those weapons are really good against arcs, and then just coincidentally also good against every one agility ship in the game. Yeah. So if the meta is teching against arcs, the B-Wings just fall under the same category. Because if I'm bringing plasmas to hit arcs and Magpulse, the B-Wings are going to feel the exact same reaction. They just don't have the back arc. They don't have any of the passive mods or born for this to protect themselves.
You mentioned Y-Wings earlier, too. Which, the poor Y-Wing, man. When we're talking about break it or buy it, I don't know. Throw it away right now, unless it's Holoken. It's just tough. Like,
Lima is holding up Scum almost entirely by herself. And Arlise is okay. I've tested him a couple times, but even then, it's just like, you're I4, you're 1 agility. You will be gone by the 3rd engagement.
And the 2 shields to 6 hull ratio, you can take a finishing crit, something that turns you off before you even get a chance to do any work and damage. And then just like ion cannons are prevalent, ion tech is prevalent, Magpulse warheads, as you mentioned, plasmas. It's just spike damage that just feasts on 1 and 0 agility ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to the audience, I'll just pose it to all you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this was our first segment of Break It or Buy It, something that we're looking forward to incorporating into future episodes. If you have any ideas of other chassis you'd like to talk about that are standard legal, heck, we could even go into extended at some point. But for now, we'll focus on standard. Let us know. Give us a shout, and we'll definitely take a look.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that, especially if you have like pilots that you want to see more of, or that you kind of wish were still in, let us know those too.
Well, let's move on to talk. Speaking of the meta, we had a big event just happen. We had the Nova Open in the DC area this past weekend as of when we recorded this episode. And we had 2 days of Swiss and a second day / Top Cut day. Before we jump into talking about what we've noticed and trends and all that good stuff, Chrispy, our guest today, he won last year's Nova Open, which, again, even though it's been a year, I'm going to give you a little bit of a round of applause because that's still a pretty big deal. Yeah, Murderer's Row getting there, and you played incredibly well. So Chrispy, I got it real quick. Just a couple of questions for you. My first question is, what was your experience like at Nova? Like, what was that event like overall? Did you enjoy it outside of playing incredibly well? And what are things that you noticed from last year that are different from this year, in terms of the event structure / what people?
Yeah. So last year, I think this was the first big X-Wing trip that I went on sort of by myself. All the other big events, like Gen Con, was generally the World Qualifier that I had gone to in past years. But that was, like my family was on the trip, and it was a whole big thing for Gen Con for all of us, so we would go. But this is the first time that I actually went by myself for an X-Wing trip, which is very interesting. I did manage to sort of room up with some other guys that were, from my store, so I wasn't like entirely like alone and didn't know anyone. And by that point, I had like won some tournaments online at that point, so like people knew me. And like Greg Kosh was there, and we spent like most of the weekend together. So I never felt entirely alienated. And I was flying chaff bombers, so I felt pretty good.
From a bygone era. What was the list again? Without really going too deep into it, but what was the list? Just graze over it.
Yeah, so it was Kylo and the Whisper, Malorus in the TIE Fighter, Scorched TIE Fighter, and then Dread and Grudge in the Bombers, both with Electrochaff missiles and proximity mines.
Spicy, man.
Very, very nasty stuff.
A master class on how to have the bombers do whatever you want to your opponent. You did. You really plugged them up. You did a nice job. And especially taking Ray out, Duncan Howard's Ray in top 4. It was a pretty impressive game. See, I don't mind. I do not like Ray, so seeing what you did to Ray was pretty dope. I was a fan.
I was just so excited when those bombers came out. Those are still so much fun to fly.
Besides the fact that you have to take them off their base every time they get close to something.
Big.
Pretty awesome.
Honestly, I think that's one of the biggest problems with just FO is all of their ships just keep getting tangled into other people's. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is we need more printed ships for foe that have smaller bases. Give me the Ty Dorito AMG. I've been needing a new ship.
No, it's serious. Dude, that's the new faction, bro. That's the new like Sith, the new era Sith faction or whatever they called it. I hate that movie so much. So I don't even remember what they called it.
Final
Sith
Order
Troopers.
Final Order.
The final
order. First order.
Final Order. They have one chassis. It's the Ty Dorito.
That's right.
So, Chrispy, what is it like winning like not just like winning a tournament, but like what is it like winning an event? Like what is that feeling like? Could you process it? Like could you believe that you just won an entire tournament like that at that scale?
I mean, I didn't really like feel anything until like I got back to the hotel like after the award ceremony. I was just sort of in a like state of shock because like it's not like your first instinct after you win something, right? It's just, jump up and down and go, yes, yes. But you can't really do that when like you just shook hands with your opponent and he's standing right there. And so like I had all that energy packed up and I really just wanted to let it out. But Katoff's a fantastic player, awesome guy to play with. Like we had such a chill, like hilarious final game. Like I think at one point, if you like watch GSP's stream back, there's like 6 hands on the table while we're trying to place an electric shaft underneath Ray, underneath a Y-wing that's on top of a thermal. Where it's just an octopus of arms on the table, and we're just standing back just laughing at the whole thing. But no, it was like after the game was over, like I talked to Katoff about, hey, here's my thoughts on the game. Like I'm not gonna like criticize you too much, but like don't joust chaff bombers again. Just some general advice. And then I don't know. I just sort of went back to my hotel and I called my parents because they watched it on stream and were very excited for me and they wanted to see all the cool stuff that I got.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. So I have links for us to look at the Friday, Saturday Swiss and then the top cut. Andrew, I'd love for you, if you don't mind, opening up the Friday Swiss, and we could talk about maybe the top 4 to 6 list that we see on that breakdown in List Fortress. We can kind of talk about what we see there. I'll take Saturday, and then Chrispy, we'll have you do the top cut breakdown.
Cool.
All right, yeah, which is great. This is a very similar list to what I brought to Gen Con, which is Resistance, Elo Asti plasma torpedoes with integrated S foils, ferrosphere paint, Lulo Lampar shield upgrade, ferrosphere paint marksmanship, Temin Wexley. I'm going to guess the Snap Wexley version. Integrated S foils, R68 with ferrosphere paint and heroic. Kazuda Ziono with Kaz's Fireball, Tarting Computer, False Transponder Codes, and Jessica Pava integrated S foils, BB Astromech with ferrosphere paint. And this is a list that is designed to beat Han and the Republic lists. It wants to joust him and just throw 15 red dice, throw as many red dice as possible at big, low agility things. And it's really good at doing that.
And 2 things real quick. One, Kazuda also had Notorious. And the second thing is the Snap Wexley variant, I believe, is 5 points, so would not fit. So this is the one that gives you the free boost. Temin. Yeah. I think this is the one that you brought to Gen Con.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. I thought that's the Snap one. Is the one that gives you the free boost.
That is the Snap one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'm wrong. I'm
I mean, no, you were right. It is the free boost one, though. I mean, we're all right.
Okay, we're all
Everyone's
right.
right.
Cool. I got it confused. But
We're
yeah,
on the same
Notorious
page. We're
Kaz
good.
is
We're
super
good.
interesting. We're good.
Look,
We're
this
good.
is what happens when you print multiple pilots
Yeah,
with the
right.
same
That's true.
with different
It's
abilities.
different name. It's same names
Yeah.
with different names, different
Yeah.
abilities. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Congrats to Ryan. I mean, he went undefeated.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, this list has everything. It has every initiative pretty much. You can cover that range. You have Lulo at I5 and Elo at I5, Temen's an I4, and so is Kaz. Jess is the only outlier at lower initiative.
But lots of staying power. I mean, Jessica
And
is
all the
great
paint,
at,
man.
yeah,
Oh,
bad for target
Ferrosphere
locks.
paint across the
Mhm.
list is tough.
I mean, that's how you punish Evader, right? Just
Yeah.
give him no good options to lock you.
Yeah.
And the one person that doesn't have Ferrosphere paint is Kaz, who has codes. So,
Yep.
I mean, like this is very anti-lock and a lot of lists and a lot of sort of meta pieces right now. Like, just boy Luke, boy Vader, right there.
Yeah, that's a good call out too. Yeah.
Like require locks in order to sort of push out the high damage that they're expecting. And if you sort of punish them for that, like, sure, like they can still take a lock and get stressed, but then Luke's not 4K'ing behind you on the next turn, and shooting another proton torpedo at you. And then like Vader also can't like 4K behind you, so that gives you the opportunity for like Elo to white 3 Talon behind Vader while he's stressed, because you know that he's going to be running away for the turn. That could give you a free like plasma torp shot on him while he's still trying to clear stress.
Yeah, and that's nasty.
Yeah, this list is really good. I think it's the 5T70 version. I think this proves that the 5T70 version of the resistance list that people have built is not adequate enough. But having a little bit of, you have the A-wing in there, you've got the fireball, and then you still have your strength with Elo, Temen, and Jess as well in the T70s. So just good coverage for Ryan, and you codes and false transponder codes and paint, as you mentioned with Vader and Luke, makes it really difficult, and they could box you in, and then it's hard to take them down.
Yeah, and they're chunky enough too, where even if you chew into one of them, they can still even try to run away, and it's even harder to chase them with those target locks if you're taking stress.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to First Order, Commander Mal, and this is Cody. And then Commander Maurus with Mag Pulse Warheads, Blackout in the Silencer, Proton Rockets, Sensor Scramblers, and Lone Wolf, Rush, Silencer, Advanced Optics, Predator, and Fanatical, Kylo Ren, Torpedo, Sensor Scramblers, Marksmanship, and Extreme Maneuver. Yeah, I'd say that's the Silencer version. But this is a 4-ship list.
Yeah.
Which is a little more rare these days. They see a lot of 5, but it's an efficient list, and one that can spread out pretty well, forcing your opponent to kind of pick a target. And I think it allows kind of everyone else to dive in on you. Yeah, I would say. I mean, Chrispy, we got one of the foremost FO players here.
Yeah.
What are you making of this?
So Cody loves the silencers. I know Cody very well.
Okay.
I have tried to pull him to the whispers. He will not relinquish the silencers, which it's admirable.
Yeah.
I've been flying it. I think that this Kylo build is very, very solid. I've seen it. I think I've played against someone with this sort of Kylo build before, where you have the proton torpedoes and you also have the extreme maneuvers. So you have both the capability to do high damage from distance and also get in there and knife fight with the range one with the with your force. It's a very, very nasty build.
Yeah, extreme maneuvers is just so good at getting you back into the fights. Yeah, hard to run away from that.
Yeah. The ability to flank on that is very, very, very fast. Like if you put Kylo off in a corner and your opponent decides we're not going to deal with him and we're going to put everyone else on the far side, and the decloak into the 5 straight into the hard turn, you are zooming into the center of the board.
It's half the board,
and you're going to get those proton torpedoes. Like, there is no ship that can hide from Kylo.
Well, and if you go into Kylo, Blackout's got kind of the same thing. So, yep.
Yeah, the Prockets with Lone Wolf, so you can basically corner both of them on opposite sides, and they can be on their own.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would imagine he spreads them out a little bit. Like there is no
Yeah.
like it's like each corner and then two in the middle ish part of the board. Like Rush and Malrus are probably closer to the middle of the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rush and Malrus, you're fine sort of ramming them up the middle, because if your opponent decides to focus on Malrus, they're like, it could just, like, nothing could happen if they just shoot at Malrus and she just keeps rolling and her ability just keeps saving her. But once you start, shooting into Rush and you get him up to I6, now he's a real threat. So you sort of just want to leave him at I2. He has optics, Predator, Fanatical. He becomes very, very dangerous once he gets to I6 and he's able to line up that bullseye more often on you. So sometimes you just leave him at I2 and just ignore him for as much as you can, which sort of just lets him dive in there and just do what he needs to do. He can go for blocks. He can go for range one shots. He can just run in and grab an objective, and your opponent doesn't want to shoot at him, because he only gets worse if they continue to do that.
Yeah, it's true. We got a Rebel sighting for number 3.
Yeah, this is the standard. I mean, I would call this one of the 2 standard rebel builds that's shaking up the meta. Starting with Han Solo, and this is not
Vomit
sure.
Blood.
Yeah, Vomit Blood, or who the
Vomit
fuck
Blood.
is, but hey, good job making.
Is that Andrew Bolduc?
You'll have to verify that. I'm not sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
But it's no worries. Han Solo, Perceptive Co-Pilot, Chopper, Biston, Engine Upgrade, and Millennium Falcon. We got the Fen Rao variant with Crackshot, Predator, Beskar Reinforced Plating, with Keo, Venzi with Juke, and Luke Skywalker. I'm going to guess the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Otherwise, you'd have upgrades.
Yeah, this is the build. This is the version of the Rebels that I would take, because I think it beats the Wedge A-Wing Keo Sabine build.
Yeah.
But the key, like, if so I would take this if I expect to see that build happening a lot with Rebel. Getting those extra I6 pieces in there, and Keo with Juke is some, we see her with a couple of different builds. Juke is great just because you're taking that evade anyway. You already have that force, and you can still run around, do objectives, and stay alive. With the force ship variant, you want Keo to stay alive. It's more important that Keo stays alive.
Yeah, not really sacrificing your damage output. The other variant of Keo is proton rockets, but this one, it makes sense to be taking the evades, because then you're basically a bait piece that is hard to take down.
Yeah, and at when you have a 4-ship list too, I mean, I would, it's more imperative that, because Keo is going to be doing your objectives for you.
Yeah,
a lot of
see.
Time.
I see Keo with Juke a lot, and probably the scariest versions of Keo that I've seen is Lone Wolf Concussion Missile.
I like
having
that. Yeah,
I personally think that build is stronger than with Juke. It really depends on how you fly it. Like, if you want Keo to just run up the middle and be annoying and just, create space for your bigger pieces, then like Juke is fine, because your primary action is going to be evade. But the issue with that is, if you get shot at and you lose your evade, you just have no upgrades for the turn. Your only mod on offense is your single force. So you have no assist. Like, if you just roll poorly, nothing happens. And your opponent, like Juke is a very specific trigger where you need to actually be able to have hits. Your opponent needs to roll evades, and your opponent needs to not have focus modifications.
And you kept your evade. You didn't spend it on defense. And you kept your evade,
correct. I like the Lone Wolf and the Concussion Missile, because if she does get ignored, which in most games she just does, she has the ability to, throw that lock out there and threaten with a Concussion Missile. And if your opponent does go after her, she still has force. She still has the Lone Wolf reroll. And the Lone Wolf reroll helps her spend her force more often than just like simply evading. So I mean, in order to fly her With the Lone Wolf, though, you do need to fly her sort of as a flanker and more of a side objective rather than her diving for the center objective, like on scramble or salvage. You run her along one of the sides, where she grabs one of those middle, those ones towards the center, and then she turns in for the fight. So it's a different play style. I think the ceiling on Lone Wolf Concussion is much higher for both damage output, and I mean, like, obviously the evade is better than Lone Wolf for survival, but I like the Lone Wolf because on defense, if your opponent just rolls one hit into you and you roll like 2 evades and 2 blanks, you still have the opportunity where it's like, all right, if there's no other shot coming in, I can just Lone Wolf this here and just maybe get the eyeball, and now I can start side slipping again.
I agree with that.
So I highly suggest people to try it out over Juke, like just a couple times. But like I understand like Juke is a very safe option, and in a 4-ship list, being safe is a very important like thing to understand. Like you cannot take a risk of throwing Kyo out on the side, assuming that she's going to be okay, and then like a Kylo Ren just dives on her and she's gone, right? And so just her like and having the evade every turn is fine. I just like the option where if she does get ignored, she has the lock and her defense is not terrible because Lone Wolf helps to cover where the evade is missing.
Yeah. Well, I like that build just because I think that as this list keeps showing up all the time, and probably now at everyone's local tournaments as well. And I think people are going to start figuring it out. They're going to have a lot of practice playing against this list, and I think that this list we're going to start seeing Han go a lot sooner. People are figuring out to dive on Han, and I think you're going to need more like that 3 dice gun and more offensive output from the other pieces just anyway as this goes forward. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I think for like 3 and 4 ship lists, I think they're players should look into getting Lone Wolf into their list. Because I think at 3 points it is probably one of the best value cards like in terms of generic upgrades. I think Lone Wolf is like in every single 3 and 4 ship list that I have, just because like a reroll is big, and especially if you can put it on a piece that just wants to go do its own thing, like different than everyone else. You can do that. I throw Lone Wolf on Von Reg just because I want to sit him off in a corner. He'll shoot range 3 shots in, and when he dives in, he needs to. Then if he's diving in, he's on the attack. He's not having to protect himself. He doesn't need the Lone Wolf for defense. He's just going to lock focus anyway, and he's just going to keep shooting. But the Lone Wolf is there for when he's on an island. He is at his best.
Man, Kyo Venzu with Juke really triggered you into the Lone Wolf debate, but I agree with you. I think Lone Wolf is definitely better. I agree that it is the best generic upgrade in the game right now. It's better. It's the new elusive, and it's better than elusive. Just got to be far enough away.
Yeah.
It makes. I mean, it's a great boon for those 4 ship lists too, because we start seeing everything shift to 5 lists. So it's more important that 4 ship lists, I think, have that chance and ability.
Yep. Lone Wolf definitely better on lists that have less than 5 ship, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's do Chance's list here, another shorter list.
Yeah, Trains Crawford with Kylo Ren, Proton Torpedoes, Advanced Optics, Fanatical, and Instinctive Aim.
Another silencer Kylo. It's amazing. I love it.
In top 4.
Where's the Whispers?
So,
Where's the Whispers? Where'd they go?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, people.
Silencer Kylo is 7 points still or 6?
He's 7.
So he's still 7. Yeah, it's not cheap.
But we got Lieutenant LeHughes making an appearance, which I'm always excited to see. Big fan of LeHughes. With Special Forces Gunner, Barrage Rockets, and Marksmanship. And then we have Commander Malorus with Cluster Missiles this time. Well, actually, that's pretty good. And then Scorch with Fanatical and Crackshot. And then DT-798 with Deuterium Power Cells.
AKA Borch. That's how I call DT Borch, because it's like Scorch, but just it's different ability. It's slightly different.
Scorch. Why not just call him Dorch or Torch? Use
use
one of his initials.
Yeah.
Because Borch is just lazy. This is why I did it.
Dorch makes more sense because it's different Scorch.
Yeah. Well, it's not
Yeah,
Swiss
it's the other variety. But
with
you know,
regen. That's so interesting. Deuterium power cells allows you to regen or ditch
the three
non-lock red orange tokens.
musketeers, the three musketeers with Mauer, Scorch, and DT.
So
Always good to see them together.
2 lists in the top 4 of Swiss with silencer Kylos, 7-point Kylos, which is cool with Brotorps. Chrispy, are you a Commander Malrus with cluster missiles kind of guy these days, or are you a Magpulse Warheads kind of guy?
It depends on how many whispers you have on your list.
Okay.
If you have whispers in your list, it's
You don't need
cluster missiles.
Magpulse.
You don't need Magpulse. If you don't have whispers, you need the jam. You're taking Magpulse.
Yeah, let's say you don't.
I've been more up on just Magpulse, especially for. I mean, it's great in even in the crates game, like just to have.
Yeah, it's enticing to be able to double tap with the cluster missile, get that second shot, and have the conversions with Malrus' ability. But it does depend on the list you're building around Commander Malrus.
Also, I mean, I like the Magpulse that you can keep it at range 1 to 3, and it's just you always have a 3-dice gun.
Yeah. Real quick, looking through the rest of these, is a lot of rebels, a couple more resistance, and some empire. I just wanted to give a shout out to Duncan. Everybody knows Duncan Howard, who is number 5 here in Swiss, who actually flew Adigalia. So he was playing a Republic list with just 2 Arc 170s, Wolf and Oddball, but he had Adigalia with CLT Chopper and Debris Gambit, as well as Delta 7B Anakin with Predator R4 P17 and shield upgrades. So there are a few versions of Republic lists that are kind of sneaking in as viable, and they include Delta 7B Anakin, is what I've noticed. But Adigalia is aside for Soul Rise, because we don't see Adigalia. When Adigalia came out, Adigalia wasn't getting played much at all. So
yeah, but only 3 FO lists on Friday, and 2 of them made top 4.
Yeah, that's also impressive. FO remains strong at 1 Worlds, and it's still up there as a top competitive faction. It's certainly not Rebels or Republic, but it's right there next to Resistance, is like kind of on the cusp of being at the top there. So still very good, and you can still win it all with it seems. I'm gonna jump into Saturday real quick, and we'll just see real quick what the most exciting part about Saturday we'll get to is their number 4 in Swiss, but we'll start with the top. We went undefeated here. We have, is this DIH X-Wing? Did I read that correctly? Playing Empire. So undefeated in Swiss on the Saturday Swiss heat. Playing Lieutenant Laurier with Crackshot and Targeting Computer. Major Reimer in the TIE Bomber with Sat Salvo Barrage, Seismics, and Delayed Fuses. Captain Jonas with Sat Salvo Barrage Rockets and Bomblet Generator. Tomax Bren. Looks like this is the new Tomax Bren. Because he doesn't have any upgrades. It must be the standardized Tomax Bren that just came out.
Yeah.
And Rear Admiral Chirnu. You guys have to remind me what is on Tomax. It's been a second. We did our last episode on the bombers. But Rear Admiral Chirnu had Ruthless, Death Troopers, Darth Vader, Agile Gunner, and Baffle and Dauntless title. I think Tomax has plasma torpedoes and a couple other things.
Yeah, he's the one that throws his bombs too. I think.
I don't think Tomax. I think that's Deathfire and Jonas that both do that. Tomax has True Grit, the new talent where he can, at the end of the activation phase, remove a non-lock red or orange token to gain a strain. He has Plasma Torps, and he has Ion Bombs, and he has the new ability where after he barrel rolls, he can spend 2 charges, 1 recurring, in order to get a focus token. So he is a self-contained I5 double-modded plasma for 3 points, which is why you bring him.
It's focus 3 points. You spend the 2 charges, you get a focus. Okay, got it.
So he can barrel roll into red lock and then spend the charges to get the focus token.
So this list is basically just a web of sad times if you get caught in these firing arcs. Rear Admiral Chirnu is not going to go down fast. Laurier is slippery, and then you have the bombers doing what they do with the rerolls with Jonas, the barrage rocket saturation salvo combo, which has been proven to be incredibly good. Might not be the best. I think people maybe are overestimating it a little, but still it's very good. And then Tomax, the new Tomax with the double modded plasma opportunities, very good against Arc 170s, another one agility ship. So next we had Wynan. Shout out to Wynan Cohort, who actually just followed us today on Twitch, which is kind of funny. So he brought Rebels. He's number 2 in Swiss. He brought Han with Trick Shot, Perceptive Copilot, Bistan, and Falcon title. Boy Luke, Wedge in the A-Wing with Marksmanship Predator. Keo, again here with Juke. And Sabine in the TIE Fighter, that 2-point filler with Beskar reinforced plating. So another Han variant, Trick Shot. I think some people debate on if Trick Shot is worth it. It depends on how you'd like to fly Han. I mean, Trick Shot is a great upgrade. But if he's taking a lot of range 3 shots, he's probably not able to double tap as much because ships are farther away from him. But it's a good list. Do you guys have any input on this version of the Rebel Han list?
I mean, yeah, went undefeated, which is great. And this is the version that I think is better at scenario objectives. It has a couple more pieces that are a little more durable, so like less fragile than some of like the Fen Rao stuff out there. But I think that this is still a great version of the list that is very hard to kill and deal with.
Yeah, I like Fen Rao. I thought I was kind of off on him for the longest time, but because he doesn't feel as awesome as Scum Fen Rao, but he's good.
I like Fen, and honestly, I think that if you see a lot of this version of it, I would rather have the Fen Rao version on my side of the table because I think that is designed to counter this version of Han.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the standard build we're seeing on Fen Rao, I believe, is Predator, Crack Shot, Beskar.
Yeah.
So like that is a self-contained double modded shot at I6, where all you got to do is line up a bullseye, and you have focus roll and focus boost to help you land, or boost roll focus to line that up, and then the crack shot on top of it. So for that opening engage, you are getting a monster shot, and then from there you can just feel free to disengage and then just be an I6 in the mid and late game and just clean up other ships. Go for some initiative snipes, just be sort of elusive and just wait around for the end of the game, and like Han and Luke will do most of the battering throughout the early and mid stages of the game, and all you got to do is just leave Fen Rao to the end game, and he'll zip around and go kill anything that needs just a couple damage to go finish it off.
Yeah. And this version of the list with Luke, Wedge, Keo, and Sabine, Wedge is a flanker, and then you have Sabine and Keo. Both are tough to take off the board, especially Sabine with the Beskar reinforced flanking, and they are really great at getting objectives. So even if you do, take down Han, you could just be behind on points with objectives, and that's what this list excels at.
Yeah, hopefully Han doesn't die, but if he does, it's later in the game and you don't care as much.
Right.
That's the hope. We got number 3, you got Hogue Leader. I'm going to kind of glance over this one really quickly. No offense to a great effort, and just because this is a Paul Heaver-esque Republic list that we've seen a lot of versions of. We've got Anakin, Siege of Coruscant.
Yeah, if you listen to our first episode, we talk about it there.
Yeah, we talk about it extensively. Anakin, Siege of Coruscant, 4 points. But we got Padme with R4P plasmas, passive sensors, and Daredevil. So not the Protorp version with just Protorps and plasma and passive. This one's a little different. And then we got the 3 culprits, the Jag, Wolf, Oddball trio of ARC 170s. What I'm really excited to talk about is the Scum list. Number 4, Andrew brought a Scum list that made day 2. He brought Bosk. Andrew. This Andrew was not at Nova.
No.
Brought Bosk with Marksmanship and Dead Man's Switch. Fen Rao, now only 6 points in the Fang Fighter with Fearless Enduring. Hey, an Enduring sighting. I actually have always liked Enduring on Fen. And Beskar Reinforced Plating, so kind of double insurance with those crits. Joy Rekoff in the Fang, now only 4 points of Fearless and Ion Torps. Cad Solus, I have a 4-point Fang Fighter with Fearless and Beskar Reinforced Plating. And then a Mandalorian Royal Guard. This is the Fangs Out squad, besides Bosk, with Fearless and Beskar Reinforced Plating. So, hey, I think everyone's saying, Fang Fighters don't really have a shot outside of Fen Rao and maybe Bodica. But, I mean, hey, this is cool. Did well. Nice job, Andrew. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, especially for Scum as well.
Yeah, which when I think of Fangs, I think of Scum.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun list, but it is
high risk, right?
It's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild to see it here, especially with the Mandalorian Royal Guard. Like, I really liked the Clan Ren versions
Rebels, yeah,
in
for Rebels.
Rebels over the Mandalorian Royal Guard. I mean, I think they're still all right. They're I4, um, but man, it's neat.
It is.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I would be able to. I don't think I would be able to get 4 wins out of out of it with this list. Like, there's got to be a high amount of skill
Yeah.
there.
He brought it to prove a point, and I think he did a great job
Yeah,
doing that.
absolutely.
All right, so we'll just quickly we'll just talk about the winner real quick for final day, because the names that we mentioned, they made the top 4-8 overall day 2. So Crispy, if you want to talk about Winan's list, congratulations to Winan for winning. We already kind of mentioned it, but maybe why you thought it was good enough to win Nova.
Yeah, so wine with the standard sort of rebel good stuff, Han, Luke, Wedge, Keo, Sabine. Um, we saw this list rise fairly early on in the points update, and this was sort of what was. Did this win sort of another event or like a smaller sort of store championship? Because the list seems like very, very familiar.
Yeah, I looking at some of the store champs that this list has been featured.
Yeah. So yeah, like just like Perkop Bistan Han, just is insane value at 7 points at I6. Boy Luke being able to double mod that Proton Torp out of the gate. And then Wedge Sabine doing the chip damage, playing great at all the objective games. It's just a very consistent list, and it covers all the spaces. And sort of one thing that we saw to rise up to beat it, right, were the arcs. And this is sort of where, for the last 2 World Open qualifiers, LSO and Gen Con, we didn't see anything like this list get close to the. Zach Bart made it to the final of Nova with a list without Han. And at LSO, there were a lot of Han lists, but the list that ended up winning was the Paul Heaver, Annie Padme, and triple arcs. And I think for Nova, we did not see a lot of triple arcs at all. I think that Han just needed the meta of the triple arcs, or at least the initial heat of that, to die down, to come back up, or everyone sort of overcorrect on the arcs where they're expecting slow ships that they can go line up bullseyes on or whatever, like line up bombs or stuff like that. And Han comes back, and there are no arcs left for anyone to use that tech on. And so Han just ends up rolling over a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, I think Han is the meta warping ship, and if there's nothing to check it, it's gonna run wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Winan's a great guy. I've gotten to know Winan over the last couple of years, and this is it's just a more fun list than playing. Maybe people are just kind of tired. Like the 3 arcs is just like, ugh. I don't know. Maybe that's just the way I think, though. I know some people don't care how boring or fun or whatever it is. But Han lists are just more engaging than triple arc lists.
So just thinking back to Gen Con, Nick, if you remember, the Sunday, there were 14 of us. There were 7 Republic players.
Yeah.
At Nova, there were only 3 out of a top 15, and one of them was Duncan, who was not flying triple R's. He was flying the 4-ship version. Right. But the other 2 that were there were flying something very close to, or just were flying the same Paul Heaver list. And if I'm looking through here on Roll Better as to who played what, I think Wind played one of those lists, one of those Republic lists, to make it to the top. Yeah, he ended up playing Hayden in the top 4. So the Han list still can beat the arcs. It's just generally you over a long period of games, if you're having to play like arcs like every other game, you will fall once because you may get a bad scenario matchup. You may go up against a good player who just knows how to fly the arcs and knows how to get around Han, where they're going to be able to put you down. But if there's just not many arcs out there, you're just more likely to dodge them and get those better matchups for you to get up to the top. And I think that we can sort of see the reverse, right? Because we had Andrew who made it to Sunday with the scum list. He did not play Rebels during his heat, and then he played 2 Rebel lists on Sunday and lost to both of them.
Yeah.
When Rebels have the techs to punch Fangs in the face, because Han can just fly away from them and never give them Concordia.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I think it having less ARC 170, is that, what kind of response is that in terms of, I think it's probably a combination of people trying to anticipate what people are teching against.
Mhm.
A part of it is probably their disinterest in playing something like that continuously because it's very boring. I think there's also little openings that we're seeing with Resistance now coming through, kind of punching through. First Order making a good appearance too as well.
I was going to say that I don't think the Republic list is boring. I think that it's
it's so boring.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that it's boring. I think that it's actually finicky and it's a pretty high skill ceiling, because if you're bringing the Republic list and you're not going up against Han, you could be in a world of hurt. You have to completely rethink like how you fly that list. And if you are flying that against Han too, like Paul Heaver's talked a lot about this. It is you got to be on point from turn 0. You have to set up your obstacles in the right way. The Han player also has to take the bait on those obstacles, and you have to be on point with how you're flying them. They're very easy to have your arcs bump into each other.
That's the big one, is running into each other. Yeah.
Right. But that's huge. That's one mistake that can end your whole game. So, I mean, I think that there's a skill ceiling to that Republic list that is also makes it a little more preventative for people to be taking it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't agree with everything you said, but I agree that you can't just bring it without any knowledge of setting up and formation.
Yeah.
Flying. I just think that there are lists that have, that have just different ships, different initiatives are just more interesting to me. But that's my opinion. And we all have them. Yeah. So any final words on Nova? Chrispy, in terms of the meta then when you won a year ago versus now, which one do you say which one would you, maybe say you prefer?
Not the one with chaff bombers.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I liked it. I liked that meta a lot because it was what I had. It was the list that I had made, and people were copying it, and it was just running over people, and then chaff and proxy mines got nerfed to hell.
Yeah. I remember flying in it, and it's just like every game you had to think about okay, where are they going to put that electro trap cloud?
And it's all your fault, Chrispy.
It wasn't just FO though. Like any ship that could take electro chaff had it. I was flying electro chaff in Empire, and I mean it was just you had to anticipate it, in every game. Yeah.
And it's very hard to anticipate the system phase boost into the skilled bombardier launch.
Oh god, yeah.
Because that covers a lot of ground. So no, it's I think that this meta is fairly healthy outside of Scum sort of just being left to die.
Yeah.
I think that they have hope. So my sister plays Scum, and right now, like, we are on a mission to get her a World's Invite through Restore Champ. We've got, I think, 2 more opportunities.
Go Cat.
Like,
let's go.
We've got a Scum list for her. Like, I think it's really good. I genuinely think that it can win. And right now it's just sort of training on that. And I've been watching some of her games, and just she's losing on like minor mistakes or just like these 50-50 calls that she it could have gone either way, and it was
Yeah,
just
you get on the wrong side of it. Yep.
exactly.
Definitely.
So no, we're working on it. I think that she's got a good shot at it. So I think that there is some hope. It's just very, very difficult to come by.
Yeah.
And if you want to get an invite, just go to another faction. It's like way easier.
Yeah, too bad for the diehard scum players, but don't worry. I think they'll get a little bit more love hopefully soon.
It's moving in the right direction. Like I was really happy that some of the top end stuff came down in the last points update. I think that was really needed. I think that things are playable again, which before the last points update they were not. Yeah, so hopefully it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's such a hard faction to balance just because each individual piece is
it's a
so
2.0
good.
faction. It's
It
such a
is.
faction. It's built for
Mm.
2.0. It was
It,
so good it had 2.0. It's like,
I feel like it's hard to balance when like the individual pieces are so good. Because it's a faction that it could be broken so easily.
Mm.
yeah. So moving on to the kind of the tail end of our show here tonight, just wanted to address. We had a question from our audience, Drew Bishopside, good friend of mine from California. We hang out pretty often whenever I go back home and play X-Wing together. He asks, I know we have little say in whether or not we get new scenarios, but with what we've had so far, are we used are used to? I'm going to rephrase that for editing purposes, Andrew. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah, go for it.
He says, I know we have little say in whether or not we get new scenarios, but with what we've had so far now and are used to, are there other scenario ideas that you guys have ideas for? Do you have ideas for new scenarios? Loaded question. I love it. I think the challenge is for us to not go on for 20, 30 minutes each talking about this, but I'm going to throw it over to you, Andrew, first, what your, maybe first thoughts are.
I'm gonna go quickly. So I mean, I still save all of the 1.0 scenarios that came with like the ships, and so I like to break those out every once in a while and play with those. I love the idea of asymmetrical scenarios. It's kind of stuff that came out even with the new Child of Mandalore, where one side is like an aggressor, one side's a defender, and so it can lend to different ways of building ships and lists when you're playing scenarios. And if you can have some of that, it's hard. I think it might be hard to balance for a tournament setting, but something with a little bit of that asymmetry can wildly change how you approach X-Wing and add a different skill level, because you might have a way that you would set up your list if you're playing as someone who's like defending or has to get like a crate or something to the other side of the board, versus if you're attacking, trying to prevent someone from getting that crate to the other side of the board. But yeah, I'll throw it to Chrispy. Any ideas that you would have?
Yeah, so one thing that I would like to see is, right now we have all these scenarios that give 1 point per thing. Like you get 1 point for staying in the center, you get 1 point for being, like having control of that satellite. You have 1 point for getting that crate. I would like to see scenarios where you work to get chunk points. For example, like you throw out all of the, let's just say that there's like 3 um, objective markers, and you put them in the center. And at the end of the turn, you like pull it towards your side, right? Like you do like a 2 speed maneuver towards your side if you have like the most ships, or you perform an action. And if you get it off your board edge, then you get like 5 points. So it's not I'm gonna sit around this thing and I'm gonna get 1 point every turn. It's I'm gonna put a lot of work to get a lot of chunk points. And the work may pay off, it may not. If my opponent's able to stop me, then I did all that work for nothing.
Yeah.
But once I get those points, that is points that my opponent can now they can't get, right? I've taken this scenario, like I've taken this objective marker off the board. It is my points, and my opponent will get nothing from it.
Yeah, I mean, or even like like tug of war. Like if you get to the end of the game, that like if the scenario is like on your side of the, but yeah, no, there's a lot of cool ways you can do with that. That's neat.
Yeah, so from our conversation that we had the pleasure of having with Atomic Mass Games and them talking about current scenarios and their plans for future scenarios, they added scenarios because they wanted there to be another layer of the engagement phase and what you're going after, and an alternate win condition as well for people who maybe get diced or just they're going up against the odds, right? Um, so the idea that you have Crispy where it's like you're running away to deposit points and come back, I think it challenges. I'm not saying I dislike it or I think there is anything wrong with it, but it challenges Atomic Mass Games' idea of keeping people literally engaging with each other's lists
Mhm.
and kind of going towards each other and going head to head. And in a lot of cases, people just jousting these days. Not always, but that's what some people resort to. So it's very much contradictory to what we've seen so far. But I'm open to that. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we don't see anything like that right now, for maybe multitude of reasons. I think maybe that one is also one of them. The
Well,
engagement thing, keeping people engaging with each other.
well, Nick, how would you do that? Do you have like an idea for a scenario that would
So
lend itself to
my
doing that?
my idea is, and I don't know how, I'm not going to go into how I would implement it because it would just get messy for all of our ideas, right? But I want an idea that I want a scenario that introduces randomness, that introduces moving objectives. I think that would be really cool if there was one where they drift or they get introduced later in the game, maybe by turn 2 or 3. And it's kind of like a variable and dynamic battlefield that you're flying on. It's not so cut and dry. This is where everything is. Only in salvage do we get a scenario where things move constantly because they're getting, crates are dropped and taken off the board, and put back and all that stuff. So I think it would be really cool. When we've streamed List Chaos in the past, we've moved obstacles around and it's completely changed the way people have dialed in, set their maneuvers and played their game. And it's been really fun. I think it would be really cool to introduce a scenario where things moved around and it wasn't predictable, that you didn't exactly know what was going to happen the next round or when they would appear or whatever. So I
Yeah.
just think that would be really cool.
No, I mean, yeah, that sounds neat. I mean, Child of Mandalore has a little bit like experimenting with that with like the Beskar one. I think you you only start with placing like one on the battlefield and then you place the rest, um, with like the with your hyperspace markers. Um, but I think moving obstacles would be interesting if
There's
you
no
had.
like templated way to do it, right? But it would be, yeah. It's just because but I mean, it makes sense, right? They're moving. It's in space, like
Mhm.
asteroids move. It's like it would just be, they want realism. There you go. Yeah, they want thematicness. That would be it. Yeah, Drew, thank you so much for asking that question. That's really, really a great question. And if any of
It's
you
a unique
guys
one.
want to ask us in our Discord, we have a part of the our Discord dedicated to the show. You can ask us questions and present topics that we talk about here on the podcast. So, Drew, thank you. Um, Real quick, before we wrap up, just want to give you guys a rundown of upcoming events. Those of you guys looking to play in some big events, Golden State Games, which I will be at, is coming up very soon this month, September 23rd to the 24th in San Francisco, California. And then after that, we'll be co-hosting the Dragonfall charity event. Andrew and I will be streaming that in person in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, on October 7th and 8th. And then shout out to ourselves because you got to plug your own store champ. We got the Windy City Trials Turkey Trot store champ on November 18th here in Chicago, Illinois.
If you're in the Midwest, come out, say hi.
Come out and say hi. Um, last thing I want to plug is we're still doing our fundraiser to help Chris Tanner and his daughter and his family help pay medical bills to help Chris's daughter who is battling cancer. So we just wanted to say that we continue to be with the Planning Phase Syndicate family and Chris specifically, and appreciate all the generous donations we've gotten so far. We're going to keep it open for a little bit longer.
And thank you everyone for listening to the episode. And big thank you to Crispy for joining us tonight. We're so happy to have you here.
Of
And
course, anytime.
yeah. And when we return, we will discuss the meta fallout of the Golden State Games World Open qualifier that Nick will be attending. So we'll
Yeah.
have some, we'll have some first hand experience from him. And then be sure to follow us on Twitch, where we live stream tons of X-Wing, both in person and online, as well as other games. And then check us out on YouTube for edited content. Like us on Facebook for community updates. And if that's not enough self-promo, we also have a Discord. Click on the link in the podcast description for more information on how you can connect with us. We'd love to be chatting with you guys in there. And then until next time for 312 Squadron, I am Andrew Kuba.
I'm Nick Sperry. And
I'm Chrispy.
yeah.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.